Hello all, Alison here. Welcome back to Words and Pictures for a little bit of tag time. This is a 10-minute tag and I've just been making it and I had so much fun that I thought I might just share with you what I did. And yeah, there's nothing I love more than layering up winter greenery, both in real life and on a craft table. So yeah, I've got a bunch of Tim Holtz greenery, winter greenery stamp sets. I've got some die cuts standing by because we've pre-made those and I'm going to do it. So this is on a Prima pre-printed tag. It came in a tag book. I bought it years ago. Not sure whether they still do this one. Not sure whether they still do any of them. But you could easily create your own with a plain tag and stamps like this, creating background text or background music. I've done that multiple times in the past. But under time pressure this year, as I definitely am, this is what I went with. So various green inks, both oxides and inks around on the table. And I'm just going to start with, rather than tapping that on, that's Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide, I've swept it on because I'm going for a soft little background look. Since that one's going in that direction, we might take one, might build one in the other direction this time. A couple of bits of secondary stamping will get me a softer background version. So that's already building my arrangement. I might do one with a slightly more definite look to it, just sort of coming out through maybe here. So that gives me already delicious layers of variegated stamping. Let's zoom in a little bit now so that you can see how this builds up. It's quite a tall tag, so it's going to be interesting to see how we can keep it on camera as I do this. That was forest floor. This is obviously going to take longer if I stop and tell you all the ingredients. The act of actually doing this is a matter of moments. So let's go for a different colour this time. I'll maybe take this one in iced spruce if I can find it. So that's going to give me a nice silvery bit of greenery, different look. And I'm not doing the exact same stamps or the exact same colours as last time. So it's going to look a little different, but that's all good. As we know, Mother Nature seldom repeats precisely. I'm not going to say never because there are twins, but even they're not a repeat, are they? Let's face it. So let's have one of those going up through there. So a little bit of sort of variation in my greenery. I am going to use these lovely berries again. So this is Winter Watercolor 2. And I think I started with a sort of shaded lilac on the berries themselves, just to get those a bit of colour. Then I used just an aqua marker, so this is a watercolour marker, but you could use Distress watercolour pencils, whatever you've got to hand, to just add a bit of greenery to that. And in places I added a bit of this blue pen, which looks very dark, but it actually isn't. And again, I'm going to go for one main stamping of that, just kind of making its way out into the world. And then I might give it a spritz and see what I can get on a secondary stamping. There won't be much because I've removed quite a lot of ink from that on that stamping. I can feel it. Oh, interesting. Got a bit of green on there. I'm just going to soften that a little bit. It was too much for me. Oh, I see. It was the green stem that came through. So instead of that, having knocked it back a bit, I'm going to go back in with some more purple berries because I do like them in purple. These, you could absolutely do them in red, but you know me, that's probably not going to happen around here. So this time what I might do is pop a little bit of a darker purple in as well. So that's a little bit of Wilted Violet, which is quite a full-on colour. So I might just pop back in a bit of shaded lilac. This one I'm going to give a spritz to, so I get a slightly softer look to it, just for a touch of variation. Pop that one in there. Ooh, I do like that touch of Wilted Violet actually. Let's go again with some Wilted Violet as the main colour, and pop in my stems. So I'm just reaching up into those berries a bit because I can see there are stems that they're holding on to. There's already water on the stamp at the moment, So that's going to soften things. I might soften it with this blue, which, as I was saying, although it looks dark, is actually quite a pale blue. So that will soften our wilted violet a little bit. And let's take that one up here. So as I say, this is already a little bit wet. I'm going to slightly change the angle of that as I stamp it, so it's a little straighter going up through there. Oh, pretty. And let's get a secondary stamping of that somewhere in there. Yeah, just delicate little purple stampings. Delicious. Enjoying that a lot. And then maybe one final one from, yeah, this is Sketch Greenery. And this is a delightful little stamp. I might put this one in a slightly brighter green, and I want, rather than a watery stamping, I'm going to go for a really precise stamping with this one. So that's Leaf Archival, just to give me a little bit of detail onto this stamp, because everything else is quite soft and layered and watercolory. And I'm going to let this one have a little bit more detail and brightness from that lovely, oh no, that's not what I want. What are you? Mowed Lawn Oxide. Well, since I've done that, let's see what you look like. You're going to be a similar colour. Oh, that's quite nice actually. There we are. Lots of greenery going on. Lots of delicious layered greenery. Little berries. All good. So, next step, I took a couple of my pre-cut die cuts and just added a little bit of glorious sparkle. Anybody who saw my sparkly leaves the other day will know what I'm talking about. So I've got my bunch of greenery going on in here. Let's just pick a couple of those that are gonna, yeah, join in on this game. And then I need a piece of paper. I can use the back of that. So just with my collage medium, I'm going to apply a little bit of glue to these. That's, oh, I shouldn't do it with my beautiful, beautiful scabby spatter brush, should I? Mustn't forget to clean that. What I don't want to do is set glue into the bristles of my perfect spatter brush that was created completely by accident when I left a brush in the jar for too long and it splayed out, and now it, yeah, is my preferred way to add spatter. So let's pop those on there. That into the water jar immediately. Little bit of rock candy glitter over those. What a joy this stuff is at this time of year, just adding that subtle touch of vintage sparkle. Just delicious. And unlike other glitters, Tim was saying this in a demo recently, it doesn't sort of fly around in quite the same way and get in everything and on everything. It's reasonably straightforward to control. So off camera, I'm just tipping that back into the bottle. Tap, 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 lid back on so I don't knock it over. And then just a little touch of mummy cloth for a little bit of, yeah, you know, texture. Sort of wintry, frosty, sparkly, that sort of thing. Onto here. And I think a little dab of glue might as well go on straight away. Onto there. There we go. And I think you're going to go in this sort of direction. And I think you're going to go, as always, I'm not applying glue to the whole thing because I want that flexibility of being able to bend up these stems and create a bit of dimension. That's pretty good. Maybe a little touch of inking around the edge, just to draw the eye inwards. So obviously if you need to, from a blank tag, do a bit of background stamping and a background inking, that might add another minute to your making time, but it really doesn't need to be more than that. It's a background. And then I've got these, again, not sure these are still around any longer, the Muse tokens. Certainly the festive ones will have been a limited edition. I think it might go with merriment. A little touch of merriment, wouldn't you say? a nice thing. And onto that, I just added a little bit of white distress crayon, just rubbed over the top to highlight that word and give it that touch of frosting. There it goes. Where are my fasteners? Yeah, bronzy one. So the one I used on the previous tag was a silver Muse token. This one is going to be a bronze. Let's see where we want that. Yeah, tucked down in that corner. There we go. Just use my bradawl, pop a hole through. In that goes. Fold over the ends to hold it in place. And you know what the final part is. You know what's coming next. So this is a little bit of the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. Where's my beautiful spatter brush? In it goes. A little bit of snowy spatter, a little bit more snowy spatter. Come on, let's have you. Touch more water. Ooh, that's quite a lot of water. Might spatter some off just there, so that. There we go. Oh, and now you see I've got to spend precious seconds walking across the room. Just going to get rid of that big splotch because I don't like it. Oh, and it does need a little bit more in this top corner, don't you think? Just a touch. I'm going to walk to the other side of the room and get myself a little piece of twine. Just giving this a little blast with the heat gun just to dry off those white splotches so I don't smudge them as I pick this up. But as I say, if you take out the time I've spent talking to you, pretty sure the making time for this is probably sub 10 minutes. And then because that's bending the tag up, can you see that? If I go on the back as well with a bit of heat, that just makes the fibres curl in the other direction, so those paper fibres straighten themselves out largely. A little bit of twine through the back, thread it through, and there we go. I will of course be diving in for a close-up of this little 10-minute tag with his partner tag, and I hope that gives you a way to maybe make something last minute for somebody. Obviously all of this could be done on a plain rectangle created as a card topper, and away you go, a beautiful handmade card for somebody whilst only taking up 10 minutes of your time at this busy time of year. Thanks so much for watching, and happy crafting all.